Hey everybody, this is James.
And Marco Main.
And Nabil.
And Mikey.
And this is the Movie Pals podcast number 156. Today we're going to be going over a long-forgotten segment of our show, What We've Been Watching, followed by a movie review of the new horror film, The Last Voyage of the Demeter, followed by an announcement, actually. Last week we kind of hinted at it for our new segment that's coming out. Nabil will be going over a movie choice and explaining why. And then, of course, our outro. So that'll be our episode today. It's going to be an exciting one. That's all I know. So without further ado, let's get into What We Watchin'.
Hey, what you watching?
So for What We Watchin' today, we're going to be going over what we've been watching, TV shows or movies. I'm going to start here actually with Nabil. Nabil, what have you been watching, good sir?
Well, I have been watching some interesting TV shows lately. I don't know if you guys have actually seen this.
Mikey fell asleep already. Mikey, wake up. Nabil's talking.
James is like, no, I'm good. I don't even need to know. Just wake me up when it's done. I started watching a show called The Americans. I don't know if you guys have seen that show. It was on.
I feel like you watched this already.
You know, I watched the first season, but I never made it past that.
I know Marco's watched it.
In FX.
Yeah, okay.
I finished it.
Yeah. We're on season 4 right now. And so this is about essentially sleeper KGB agents in America that in the early 80s during the Cold War that are committing covert spy acts within the country to get ahead in the Cold War. And it's a really good kind of spy thriller. There's a lot of covert action in there. It's a good family dynamic thing they set up over there with the parents. It stars Kerry Russell and Matthew Rice, and they are basically trying to be American parents while also, serving the homeland, the motherland, Mother Russia. So, that's my terrible accent that I tried to put together.
I was like, I don't know what the fuck that was, but okay. I need you to stop.
There are 6 seasons of it, and it's currently on Hulu. But I will say it's one of those shows where they early on when like FX and AMC were having such good like high-end television for cable, like HBO quality shows they started showing over there. Those were one of the earlier ones that started showing up where TV just started getting better, and each story wasn't just like some kind of serialized thing where you would just go onto the reset every episode or something like that, and then it kind of loop everything together at the end of the season. Like there's obviously an arc each season, and the stakes get higher each as we kind of go through. And I haven't finished it yet, and we're getting to it, but you can tell that there's going to be a big kind of close off of everything as we're kind of going into it, as we're already like midway through the series. So, Marco, you said you had seen it. I mean, is there anything from your perspective of the thoughts on the show?
No, I think you're right. Each season is kind of like its own mission, so to speak. There's like a big mission in the background that they must accomplish, and there's some in between stuff that they do, and some character development that they do, and a little bit of twists that they incorporate. But I like the two perspectives that they give, both from the Soviet Union and the U.S. and this tug of war they were playing. And it shows also minorly, but not in the forefront, like who it really affects and stuff. You hear about wars in other countries and stuff, and how those were used as playgrounds for these two countries to flex their muscles and whatnot. But yeah, the tension in each season is really well done.
Yeah,
nice.
Yep.
And if I remember correctly, the makeup work, like they do a pretty good job, like going undercover and doing crazy stuff. Like you can almost not tell it's them in some of the episodes or some of the masks they have.
Definitely some good wig works and prosthetics that they put on over there to kind of cover themselves. And it's kind of interesting to see, like in every episode when they do show them staking out or working on a new source or something, the different looks that they come off of. Some of them look better than others sometimes, but it's very interesting. Like we saw an episode today where one of the characters, Matthew Rice's character, had like a full-on beard that I just didn't expect, and it took me a second to realize who that was. I was like, oh wait, that's him, because we were thinking it was some random person they were just showing as the mark or something. So it does kind of throw you off guard too when you see it sometimes as you kind of continue on. Another show that I've been watching as well, and I'm hoping that you guys have been watching this as well, is the Righteous Gemstones on HBO or now Max.
Nope.
No. Wow, this is unfortunate.
I wish.
My brother is.
I was
My brother's
expecting
told me to watch it plenty of times.
James is watching this, but no.
Heard it's pretty good. My
John,
sister
you
watches
mean,
it.
John's
So.
watching. I mean,
So this show is another one of Danny McBride's shows. This kind of continues after his run of Eastbound and Down, and then Vice Principals, and now he's gone on to this show, and it has him and John Goodman in here. They're playing basically an evangelical televangelist family that are big name, big church, television, media empire of on Jesus and trying to sell that to the world. And there's 3 seasons of it. It started, I think, in 2019 or so. So they just ended the 3rd season a couple weeks back. The show, at first, when I was going into it, was going to think that they were just going to basically do a bunch of puns and parodies off of like how evil this family is and trying to, talk down about televangelists, which has, in a comedic way, which has its merits and doesn't, depending on what you believe in that. But what is actually really funny about this show is that you kind of see that they all kind of have they do have some kind of altruistic viewpoint of what they're doing and how they're really just trying to stay as a good family unit. And like John Goodman, I think really grounds the show. He's the patriarch of the family, and he's much older, obviously. And then you got Danny McBride, who's the eldest, who's trying to take on this church. He's trying to push his father out. And there's 2 other siblings. Adam Devine is one of them, and I think Ari Patterson, I think her name is the other person. And they're all very spoiled, and they are very terrible people. But it's so funny to kind of watch how they are trying to bring God into all this while also trying to find a way to get their father's approval. And John Goodman's as the patriarch is trying to just run a church.
do you like it, Nabil?
Yeah, I think it's hilarious. Especially the first season. James, I think if you watch the first season, you'll kind of get hooked on it because there's a good this kind of a good crime plot twisting that happens that gets him into problems.
Nabil. There's no way I'm watching this fucking show. I'm gonna tell you, be 100% honest. There's no fucking way I'm watching this show.
I know you loved Eastbound and Down. I don't know if you ended up finishing Vice Principals or not.
Never even started it. I don't have no idea. You must be confusing me with someone that cares about this. So would you recommend this or to someone not like me? Apparently, no. I haven't even seen that fucking chess show on Netflix, though, guys. That's been on my list since fucking COVID. So,
oh yeah,
you can add this to whatever fucking. I mean, I'm trying to watch Samurai Jack right now, bro. It came out in the 90s. So,
priorities, man. Priorities.
Yeah. I mean, not to mention The Bear, Ted Lasso, every goddamn show you've told me about to watch. I believe that was a show on HBO. You guys told me to watch too, and that's a mini series for fuck's sake. I haven't even watched that.
Nabil, I just finished a show, so I'm thinking of adding one to my list. I think it's between this one and Succession.
Son of a bitch.
So it might be this one. We'll see.
I've heard nothing about good things though. All joking aside, Nabil, my brother loves this show. I know it's very adult too, but apparently, so
it is. It's easy to jump into. They're 22 minutes or something like that. So it's very short.
Good. So they're not like an hour.
Yeah. The seasons
just like Eastbound and Down. That was like only 20-minute episodes or 30-minute ones, maybe.
You're right. And honestly, like there's actually character growth in it. Danny McBride, I think, has just gotten better with each one of his shows to really like build out, flesh out these characters where you don't just see them as somebody who you're making they're making fun of somebody, but there's actually a point to us watching this. So from that standpoint, I think that's what keeps it engaging. And each season's kind of story arc is just some random thing that you don't expect is going to happen. You kind of want to see how it plays out. So
really, okay.
I recommend watching it if you guys are into the kind of satirical comedy. And it isn't, it's less about the church aspect of it, more about the family unit and the family that's running the church. So that's what makes it interesting.
As soon as I'm done with Sandman and Blind Spotting and Primal and Fubar, I will try to remember this recommendation. Yeah. But I am so behind on TV shows, guys. It's insane. So, like, dude, I feel bad. Like, I'm probably missing, like, Succession, too. Like, I heard fantastic stuff, and now I'm like...
Great show. Great series.
Probably never going to watch it. I'll be 100% on. Like, I'll just be like, yeah, I've heard of it. Just like The Wire or The Sopranos. I'm like, yeah, I've heard of it. I mean,
it'll be there eventually.
God,
Hopefully,
you've never seen The Wire?
Yeah,
Nope.
watch The Wire,
Nope.
dude. To definitely put that up your list.
Yeah, if I ever go to prison or something, then I'll catch up on all this stuff, guys. Watch the
There
old
you go.
DVDs from the prison library. So
No, if you go to prison, you might as well watch Oz. So
No,
another show, another show I haven't seen. So
just keep it on HBO. That's the only subscription you need to keep, apparently.
yeah,
basically,
cool.
But that's what I've been watching, James. Yeah.
No, those are solid though. I know those take up time too, and glad you like both of them though. It's not like you're not forcing yourself to watch your way through it. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. So
There's been some, obviously there's a lot of television out there, like you said. You've got a laundry list of them,
Yeah.
but it is good when you can find something that you're able to sit through and actually enjoy and not watch for the sake of watching. So
I think it's been a while for me, truthfully, since I found something like that. That's why I'll get to it eventually for something. I haven't watched a show in a while where it's grabbed me. So thanks, Nabil. Appreciate that. Marco, let's get to you here, our usual MC of this thing. What have you been watching, good sir?
I just recently finished Star Trek Strange New Worlds on Paramount Plus.
Nice.
It's the second season, and it's going in strong with some really good reviews. This show takes place about 5 to 10 years before the Captain Kirk era, and I've talked about it before on the pod. So I'm not going to go all the way into it. Go listen to a few episodes behind, and you'll know.
Like
but basically, this we were watching the voyages of the Enterprise, led by Christopher Pike, the original or one of the original captains of the USS Enterprise, played by Anson Mount. And of course, it features a few other legacy characters like Spock and Uhura. And it's really just like the early years of some of the original crew of the Enterprise. And you get to see some connections between this and the original series and even some of the other properties, kind of making it a whole extended, universe. And they've done this in the past with some of the other shows like Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, etc. So they're sort of continuing this trope, because this does take place in what they call the Prime timeline, which is the main timeline that takes place all the movies, the original TV show, and all the shows I just mentioned.
Is this something that you can jump into without like watching any other Star Trek, you think?
Yes, they make it very easy for you to jump into this and not watch anything before. The good thing about this is, since it's a prequel, everything else takes place after the show. So you don't need to know anything. These are all kind of like the early beginnings of these characters. They're going to be even a little bit different than their original interpretation. And apparently you'll be able to see some evolution in their character if you continue to see some of the other shows that take place in later times. But if you're a huge sci-fi fan, this is for you. If you're a huge Star Trek fan like I am, this is for you. It's well directed, well acted. I think that Anson Mount does an incredible job as Christopher Pike. He's got a lot of range. Ethan Peck, who plays Spock, really, I think in the first season he struggled, and in this season he kind of has more of a hold of the character. Some of the other characters that are in there, there's way too many. It's a whole fucking crew. They all do a great job at creating bonds and making you care for these characters. They do what has been done in previous shows, where it's not always the main crew that's the focus. They give stories for some of the supporting characters, and you get to know more of their backstories and kind of care for them too. So that way, whenever there's
any, like it though.
Yeah, overall, it's really good, man. It's on Paramount Plus. Each episode is like an hour long. They do a roller coaster of a season where you get some action, you get some story, you get some groundedness. And season 2 even included a musical episode, which was fucking fantastic. It's incredible how they pulled this off.
Really good, actually.
Yeah. Oh, man. I at first I was kind of like, what the fuck, a musical episode? How are they going to do this? But they pulled it off really well. If there's an Emmy winner for this season, it's probably going to be that episode, hands down. So, yeah. Love it.
Yeah, I heard it was like an anthology almost, right? This last season, where they kind of skip around a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of like that. It's kind of kind of more like the older TV shows where each episode is a new adventure, but yet it keeps evolving. So they reference things from previous episodes, but at the same time, you're not beholden to that as well too. You can technically watch some of these episodes out of order, like you can some of the older shows, and it'll still make sense. Because I know my niece watched a few episodes out of order, and she was still able to keep up. So they do a really good job of keeping you engaged and not making you feel like, oh damn, I got to do my homework. So it keeps you kind of like glued to the show that way. Other than that, I also watched a Netflix movie called They Cloned Tyrone, which stars John Boyega and Tiana Paris. So this movie basically is about a character named Fontaine, played by John Boyega, who's a drug dealer, living his life when something weird happens to him. I've never seen a trailer for this movie, so I'm not sure if this is a spoiler or not, so I'll keep it very vague. Something happens, and he eventually finds out that he's been cloned, and he grabs, one of his main dealers, played by Jamie Foxx, called Slick Charles, who is also a pimp, as well as one of his, main squeezes, Yo-Yo, played by Tiana Price, and they all start to investigate, just what the heck is going on and unravel this huge mystery and conspiracy going around in their town, and try to resolve it. Overall, it was fucking very entertaining. I really enjoyed this movie.
About it. It's on on my list. Look at fucking Nabil's like, oh, you watch this, huh? But you won't watch
Everything's on his list.
Gemstones, huh? Fuck you.
On time for this somehow. All right.
Oh, you got an hour 40? You got an hour 40. Okay. All right, my bad.
But it really relies a lot on absurdism. One movie I can compare it to is Sorry to Bother You, is one that kind of relied on that absurdism where like just really weird shit happens, but with a lot of social commentary. And this one really has a lot of, commentary on, racism and what's going on in this country and stuff. But it does it so well that it just keeps you like unraveled in this plot. And John Boyega does a great job as a lead. I'm glad he was able to land this role because he's just completely different. I know most everybody just kind of sees him as Finn from, Star Wars, but he completely becomes a different person, and it's great to see him play a serious role, a tougher role where he's a no nonsense type of person. Jamie Foxx, though, I feel like him and also Tiana Paris, their chemistry is just fucking incredible. Like they are like the kind of the comedic relief. He's a smooth talker in this, and he's like just cracking one-liners.
You should definitely see. Did you watch his the mini series on Amazon Prime? Came out like 2 years ago, I think, called Small Axe.
No.
John Boyega. It's like 4. I think it's 3. I don't know, 3 or 4 movies.
No. I did watch part of it. Yeah,
he's in one segment. It's really good. And then Mikey and I watched a movie last year with him, just to let you know, called Breaking, where he's seemingly robbing a bank, kind of, but not really.
Oh, damn.
That one I would highly recommend. So if you really like these, I would highly recommend at least checking out Breaking. I think that's more of his breakout role, really. Just like if you want to see him in a different kind of role. So that movie was quite surprising.
I forgot about that movie. That movie was pretty decent. I liked it.
Damn, yeah. I'm gonna add that to my list because this is incredible, man. I think that this is like a must watch, especially if you have Netflix. You might as well. Okay. It's there. The performances are really strong. The stories carried out really well.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. No hardest no for me.
Okay. And it's different, man. It's different and original, and I really appreciate it. I watched a little Q&A with the director. It's a little quick 6-minute video, and it just made me enjoy it that much more. So definitely check it out on Netflix if you're looking for something different, engaging, and entertaining to watch.
Cool.
The last thing I'm going to mention on here, because I think a couple of us might hop in on this one, but I went on Max, previously known as HBO Max, which I continue to call it, and watched the little classic movie called Hustle and Flow.
Damn,
man,
who recommended that to you? Even Nabil, you got time for Hustle and Flow, but not Righteous Gemstones. Okay, it's on the same fucking network, but okay, that's cool. Fuck me, I guess.
BDJ here recommended this one to me after watching it himself, and man, what a incredible movie! I
can't believe you'd never seen it. By the way,
no, it's been recommended to me a lot. Like my brother had seen it, and he's like, "Dude, you got to watch Hustle and Flow." He'd been recommending it since it came out in 2005.
18 years, nice.
Yeah,
18 years, huh? That's cool.
Time flies. I know.
People have come and like become adults in the time that fucking Marco was like, I think I'll check it out now.
Basically, oh man, dude, it's an entire meme has been created because of this movie. But you know, it basically stars Terrence Howard as DJ, who's a pimp. Wow, 2 movies with pimps. God, what's wrong?
I see you went for a theme here today. It's fine.
He was on the same page.
You know, like technically, Captain Pike is kind of a pimp too in his own way. So yeah, definitely have a theme today. But he's, you know, living his life and in you know, doing dirty deeds and wanting to change his life and rediscovers his love for music and wanting to become a rap artist, you know. So he goes on this adventure and pretty much involves, you know, his main squeeze, Nola, played by Taryn Manning, and an old friend named Key, played by Anthony Anderson, who I never knew he was in this movie. So along with the help of Shelby, played by DJ Qualls, they decide to form a rap ensemble and start recording some tracks and see if it's a hit or not. Overall, man, this movie was great. It's again one of those fucking life affirming movies where if there's ever something you've ever wanted to do or pursue, you can really relate to this. It does a good job at kind of painting a picture of like, you know, how hard it can be sometimes to really pursue your dream, you know, especially if you're stuck in a situation you don't want to be in. Because, you know, for one, DJ's not really a successful pimp. You know, he's always struggling to get people to, you know, I guess, make deals with him.
He's out for a date.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that what you're trying to say, Mark?
Trying to be respectful here. You know, he's trying to, you know, pimp out the girls that, you know, he's got under his wing, so to speak.
A lot of babies are involved.
Yeah, and so, you know, you're. I mean, not to say, you know, I know what it's like to be a pimp, but I know what it's like to be in a, you know, working condition where you really don't want to be in it, and you want to pursue something else.
Yeah, I don't know where this is going. So,
it really does encompass that feeling. It really does encompass that feeling, but I don't know if you felt the same way, James, about the movie.
No. First off, I worked my way through like the Paramount Presents lines. I've talked about it before. This is like the last one in the list for now. And I hadn't seen this since it came out probably in 2005. So this is one of those movies where just rewatching it, I just realized I realized how good it was again, especially at an older age now.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, like I saw this when I was like 17, you know, or 16 or 17, which is crazy. Now I'm like 34 watching it, and it hits a little differently, you know. But I think the music is great. By the way, it is just
absolutely.
Like, this is the era of like trap music and, you know,
the underappreciated Academy Award winning Memphis-based rap group 3-6 Mafia.
Yeah, it's a lot of crunk. A lot of crunk.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ludacris is in it too. Is a man named Skinny Black, and it's I don't know. I feel like Terrence Howard, he got nominated Academy Award for this one too. So like he does such a good job in this one. I think this is probably his best role, which is, you know, just saying.
Well, I think wasn't this the year? Was it this year or that he ended up playing in Iron Man?
No, it was the year after.
It was the year after.
2 years after.
Helped get him into the role.
I'm assuming because there is some dialogue in this movie that's just it feels really realistic, like the way that he talks to. As much as it's funny of how he talks, because he apparently, I don't know if you read into this, but he stayed out and lived in a brothel for like a month or something too, and like interviewed pimps and like escorts and all this stuff just to kind of get it down. Like he did a lot of like groundwork for this stuff.
Wow.
And it shows, I think, to tell you the truth. So
yeah, it's very, very convincing, man. He really immerses himself in the character. I agree.
I would say though, if you've never seen it, it is currently streaming on Max. This is definitely a movie not to miss. So
Listen to the soundtrack; it'll change
the
your life.
soundtrack is fire too. There's a couple songs from Al Capone, by the way, in this thing, which I haven't said those words since probably 2005 or 6. Like, I don't know if that guy's even alive anymore. But man, they are some fucking slappers, man. Just let you know.
Yeah.
So.
And man, it's interesting to see the process of them creating music and stuff. And again, if you've ever been,
there's a few scenes I like dare say iconic. Like there's the way they pull them off. I'm like, damn, this kind of. I mean, I get the flow. Oh shit. I was like, then I pointed at me. So yeah,
yeah,
great movie.
So
Mikey, you should go see it. Go watch the goddamn thing. So
must watch. Please, Mikey, please do. I want to hear you talk about it next time. So
have a fucking grill on, do rag. I'm like, shit, Mikey. It's just Mike. It's just Mike now.
Yeah, but yeah, that's all I've been watching.
Awesome, thanks, Marco. A nice little plethora of pimp movies. What about you, Mikey? What have you been watching?
I haven't actually been watching too much. I'm going to be pretty short on my side here, but I've been playing a lot of video games, right? So, so I haven't really had time. But I did watch one series on Peacock. Twisted Metal. It's their new show based on the video game.
Yeah.
And actually, I didn't even know it came out. There's been like no buzz about this show at all. But it's really good. I mean,
I want to say they had some buzz on it earlier, but then I don't know. I saw a lot of reviews on it, so
I didn't even know it was out in Peacock because I thought it was going to be on Netflix. So I'm glad you told me where it was because I was just waiting for it to drop.
Damn, no wonder it was like, I don't see it like Righteous Gemstones on Max. Where the fuck is it?
There's only 2 places you got to go, guys.
But yeah, I mean, it doesn't really follow the video game too much. Like, I mean, the video game.
Does the video game have a plot?
Concept. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It really doesn't have a plot.
Yeah,
so this one actually has like it follows John Doe. It's a guy that forgot who he was. It's Anthony Mackie, and he meets someone called Quiet, Stephanie Beatrice I know her from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
And they are kind of just like going through doing a run. He's called a milkman. And he does deliveries between cities.
Marco's nickname too.
The apocalypse.
Different reasons.
It's the apocalypse, and all the big cities are like walled off. So they have these people called milkmen, and they go between the cities and do deliveries back and forth. And so he's got to go from San Francisco
Sounds about right. Yeah. Okay.
Chicago to pick up this one thing for this chick that's like the leader of San Francisco, and he gets to live in San Francisco. If he pulls it off. So that's kind of the premise of the movie or the show.
Is it worth it?
I liked it. It's got like this weird kind of comedy to it, but it's got action and cars and it has all the the iconic characters. I liked the movie. I thought it was good. I watched it with my sister and her husband. I guess my brother-in-law, whatever. And they both liked it as well. So we binged it in a couple days. It was really good. I liked it a lot.
How many episodes is it, Mikey?
8, 9, something like that. That's not too bad.
And how long do these episodes go for? Are they 20-minute or an hour?
No, they're an hour with what looks like the commercial break, so it's like 42 minutes
42,
each.
okay, I got you.
So it's not too bad though. It was a quick watch.
It's too long for James. He can't watch it.
No. I'll get to that.
He's running the algorithm in his head right now. He's like, I can't fit it. I can't.
I'm like, damn, Anthony Mackie, not the Marvel money, not good enough, huh? Okay. I get it. The fuck are you doing Twisted Metal for? But I mean, is he good in it though?
Yeah, so his character is really strange, and because he doesn't really like have
okay.
He doesn't really have like the grasp of life because as a kid, he basically his parents their stuff happens, right, and so he's by himself. He's like 8 years old and he finds a car. And like he just lives his life as a kid, and he just becomes this delivery guy, basically, right? So he doesn't really have grasp on things. Like he's kind of a character, just a really like silly person because he doesn't really grasp like how life works. Because he just
I can't imagine Anthony Mackie playing that character.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say he keeps saying I'm Captain America.
Yeah, what the hell, dude?
No, but he does it well. He does it. He pulls it off, and I liked it. I thought it grasped me right away. I kind of stuck with it, and I liked it all.
Nice.
Okay.
Sweet Tooth is nuts. It's a wrestler that plays him, and then it's Will Arnett.
Samoa Joe plays him, right?
Yeah.
And then Will Arnett's the voice.
Yeah. And it works out. It's just crazy enough that it works out. So, well, I guess I will slide into another one here. I did also watch this, horror movie that just came out recently. It was actually in the theaters for like a very short amount of time, but it's called
Like a
Cobweb.
week. Like a week.
It was came out and left with the quickness. I
Strange.
guess they got a lot of big movies coming out, but
It wasn't even just a background because I watched it too. Mikey and I were trying to watch this because I was the only one that knew about it, I guess, but it was only playing in like fucking Martinez or something around here, like for a week only. I was like, maybe it'll come out here, and then I was like, nope,
It's random.
and then it just went away. Like
And it's Lionsgate too, so it's not like it's it's got some fairly decent stars in it too. So
yeah, it's Lizzie Kaplan, I think is her name, and Anthony Starr.
Yep, those are the
Play
parents.
the mom and the dad, the parents, yeah. And it's about this kid that starts hearing things in his wall. It's pretty creepy. It definitely pulls off the horror. I like the slow reveal of the thing that's in the wall. It's pretty crazy. I mean, yeah, I thought it was a really good horror movie. I don't want to give too much away because that kind of spoils a horror movie. So that's the premise, though. But it was well acted. It gets kind of nuts really quick, actually. And then things go nuts at the end here. So it's but there's little just weird stuff throughout the whole movie that just don't really mesh well. I really like the movie though. It's like, but there's just something off about like the parents. You can just tell there's things off. And you really don't know why until you kind of get to kind of know what's going on here a little bit.
I know it was in theaters, Mikey, but is it streaming anywhere now or available for like VOD rent?
I bought it on I think Apple or something, so I don't think it's streaming right now.
So it's VOD. It is VOD though.
VOD,
you can rent it too if you want to. But I also watch it too. I actually told Mikey to go see this movie because I was like, "You go see it now." I think this is the best horror film I've seen all year, to tell you the truth. Just because I think this was super creepy. By the way, there are some scenes in this are very unsettling scenes, and like Mikey said, just it's about a boy that starts hearing knocking coming out of his walls, and somebody starts talking to him in the middle of the night. So that premise alone, without getting to anything further, and then the parents don't believe him technically, but you can tell the parents are hiding something. Like that's very well known. And I haven't seen any trailers for this movie, so I don't know if I'm assuming they probably show a little bit too much. I wouldn't watch any trailers. If you want to watch it, you want to see a really good horror movie, jump into this one blind. There are a few sequences, especially I think Mikey's trying to hint at it, like at the last 20 minutes of the movie. This is a very short film, by the way, too. I think it's an hour and 24 minutes. The last 20 minutes are fucking intense. Like there is some shit that goes down. I think this is going to be one of those cult movies eventually that people are going to start talking about more because I thought it was great. So there is some imagery, and especially if your sound is good or you got headphones on watching it, it's pretty bone chilling. Just let you know. So
if you're looking for Nabil just sent me a text. Very direct.
He said movie night.
Very direct.
So, but yeah,
it was good. I liked it a lot.
Oh, that's great, Mikey. And that's everything you've been watching, though, Mikey.
Yeah, that's about everything.
That's great. I'll talk about two movies briefly here that I went and saw. I went and saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. I've seen it twice actually. First time I saw it with Mikey, date night. Second time I saw it was with Marco and his son. So I liked it well enough. Night. This is you're telling me. It is an animated film set before. This has no connection to the previous films. It's about the Ninja Turtles and them coming out of their shells or some shit. I don't know. Like whatever.
Heroes in a half shell.
I'm not gonna break it down for you, for fuck's sake. It's them in a much more kid friendly kind of esque way, but it's also still has a lot of the vibes of the characters themselves. Produced by Seth Rogen. They're setting up for a show on Paramount Plus as well as a sequel already too. Just right off the bat, I'm going to tell you guys, I really actually enjoyed this one. The first time I saw it, I liked it. The second time I saw it, I really liked it. I think it got even better the second time I saw it, to tell you the truth. So, as a lifelong Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, because I'm a man child, I think that this was something that was just a lot of fun. There's funny moments. I thought the bad guy played by Ice Cube, it's a guy named Superfly. I thought he was hilarious. There's parts of it that are actually like he said some one-liners that are just fucking like they're for the adults, obviously. Like kids are not going to understand that he's quoting like an Ice-T song at one point, But it's just funny. Like there's a lot of funny moments, kind of gross out humor too. The only things I would say, I was talking to Marco about this, and even Mikey. I think Donatello and Mikey are swapped. Their characters. I feel like.
Like
Mikey,
like
Mikey was always
the purple and the orange are just on the wrong ones.
Like Mikey's got like a deeper, darker voice, and then like they kind of made Donatello more goofy in this one. But I'm like, what's up?
They made Donatello like the younger one, right? And Mikey's always the younger one. Yeah.
But they made him like the goofy nerd this time. I can see what you're saying.
Yes, they did. And then stuff happens, but Yeah, I mean, but whatever, it's fine. I'm not. I mean, like, it's fine. It's they still have that core kind of like feeling for everybody as like the Ninja Turtles, and that's I still really appreciated that. So I had a lot of fun watching it with you guys. So that is one to
I did too,
definitely check out. So
absolutely,
and then yeah, no, definitely, man. And I think
we had pizza after, and James kept screaming "Cowabunga." I don't know, man.
Yeah, we were asked twice to leave the premises of Mary's Pizza. Like, sir, get the fuck out of here. I was like, so sorry. This is my life.
He spray painted his back like a shell. I was like, he doesn't do this normally. I'm sorry. So.
Yeah, and I was just like, please help me, sir. And then like, something briefly that I started watching. Not started. I finished it and everything, but I finally watched Children of the Corn, a 1984 supposedly horror film. And it's about little backstory here. I think I started this movie years ago, and I think I was 20 minutes in. I was like, not for me, and I just stopped watching it. But because Nabil bought me an Arrow store subscription, I went and watched the whole movie this time because I hate myself. And it is basically, it's loosely based on a short story by Stephen King. And it's about a town that's been kind of overtaken by kids where they murdered all the parents and such of that because a young little preacher guy named Isaac has told them like, hey, the crops can grow if we like become a cult and pray to this god thing. It's somewhat connected to like Dark Tower shit too, which is like, I appreciate it, but not for this kind of stuff. This shit was terrible. Linda Hamilton's in this movie, and
she's very young in this film. Yeah.
Never knew that.
Yeah, you don't need to know that. It's just I'd rather you not know that, actually, tell you the truth. And it tries to give you like this vibe that like the kids are creepy, but every time the whole time watching it, I just kept thinking I would never let these guys get the drop on me. I'm like, get the fuck off me or something, like push them away or something. I don't know. Apparently it's a cult classic because some people really like it. I think it's because of like the nostalgia factor. If you had seen this back in 1984 or whenever it came out.
It was very campy even then, though.
Fuck, man. The kid Malachi, I just wanted to punch in the face the whole time. This redhead guy. No soul and everything, too, to begin with. But for the most part, I think it's only an hour and a half. It felt like it was 2.5 hours. I hated every minute of it. I would probably never watch it again. And I don't know why they did a 4K remaster of it for the Arrow videos, but they did. So shame on them.
So you found a new punishment movie to hand out.
No, see, this is almost Nabil. I don't know if you agree. It sounds like you've seen it. This sounds like this is almost like so bad it's good. It could possibly be like that, I think.
That's how I feel about it too. I mean, there's the film itself. I mean, I can just a poster is what's iconic. Just seeing that poster every time with the sickle in the air and whatever they have. I know that has been, the film has been made fun of over the years. And like you said, James, it was kind of like a bigger deal when it first released, but it really isn't that great of a film. It is more camp and nostalgia, and it's not a good movie. Definitely not a good horror.
There's like 6 sequels to this movie, by the way.
Yeah.
There's a remake too?
There's a TV show remake and a reboot that came out.
A remake, I think,
2020. That's apparently even worse. But I'm not doing a deep dive on this series at all. Just this was one of the one and done. No, after the Hellraiser, after killing myself with those this year, I'm not going through any like forcing myself to watch crappy movies until next year. So
I always have to ask James if he's okay.
He said next year it's fair game.
Yeah, no, I don't know a lot of people that have seen all 9 Hellraiser movies, but
I don't know many people that knew there was 9 of them
in my life. One person,
I sure so didn't.
Yeah, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. God, I'm getting flashbacks of fucking Hellraiser 5 right now. Fuck, well, the one with Henry Cavill. Yeah, so yeah, that's all I was watching. I watched a lot more, but that's all I want to touch upon to get you guys going here. Let's move on, though, if you guys want to here. It looks like Nabil's angrily nodding his head to watch. Let's do our review of The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Shipping private crates. Contents unknown. Out at sea with no land in sight.
This here is Clemens. He's a doctor.
You dress like a learned man.
University of Cambridge. I know my way around the boat.
Our charter has agreed to pay a bonus for timely arrival in London.
Let me show you the ship. This here is Huckleberry. We don't come with like this to give the ooze clear.
Demeter's a fine boat, no doubt.
Something ripped apart the animals.
All the livestock.
This looks like a bite.
Search the ship. Everywhere. Evil is on board. Powerful evil.
The Last Voyage of the Demeter. This is sitting at a 48% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the IMDb description is a crew sailing from Carpathia to England find that they are carrying very dangerous cargo. Directed by Andrzej Avradal, who has done Trollhunter 2010, The Autopsy of Jane Doe 2016. That is a very underrated horror movie. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that one. Excellent horror movie. As well as Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark in 2019, which I believe, guys, we reviewed. I want to say we reviewed it.
We did.
Okay. And I think we all agreed that one wasn't too bad. And then Mortal in 2020, which I don't know if you guys seen that one, but it's not a bad film. So, I think that's on Netflix. So, written by Brady F. Shutt, who also wrote Escape Room, its sequel in 2021, Escape Room Tournament of Champions, as well as the Sly Stone, just to let you know, Stallone film, Samaritan in 2022. And Zach Olkowitz, who wrote Fear Street Part 2, 1978 in 2021, as well as Bullet Train in 2022. This is based on the chapter, The Captain's Log of Dracula by Bram Stoker. Released in theaters on August 11th, 2023. This stars... Okay, just a heads up, there are more characters, but these are basically the main people. Corey Hawkins as Clemens. Ailing Franciosi as Anna. Liam Cunningham as Captain Elliot. David Dastmalchian as Wojciech, and Javier Botet as Dracula. All right, guys, let's get into this. Nabil, thoughts on this film? Give me 2 sentences or less. What'd you think? Did you like it? Just let me know. Or did you fucking hate it?
It was creepy, and I thought it was okay.
Okay, I mean, okay, you could have jumped in a little more. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, fuck it. That's fine. I like it.
Staying on topic here. All right.
I like it. That's quick. Quick log line, as they say. Mikey, what about you?
I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually. I thought it was kind of creepy, like the way they revealed Dracula over time. And there were some really cool shots of like the sea and the ocean and that kind of stuff. So I like that too. So yeah, I liked it a lot, actually.
Marco, what about you?
I really liked it. I thought the horror and gore was done very well.
Fucking shocks me, by the way. Dude, I guessed it. I said Marco will fucking hate this movie.
And
you son of a bitch, Marco.
Don't agree with that 48% Rotten Tomato score. It is far too low for this movie.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I am going to jump in, guys. I liked it. I liked this quite a bit. I was very surprised by what it was going to be. And by the way, I think it's a shame. Another movie that they just... Did you guys see a trailer for this?
No, I couldn't even... I was worried we were not going to show over here. I couldn't get tickets until like the day before. They just weren't showing up anywhere.
Jesus. Okay, well, not our problem here. They were selling up prior to like a week. No, I'm just saying like they had the tickets on sale. That's crazy. They weren't even selling them like ahead of time. Like they were like, fuck, I don't know what this is. But I don't even recall seeing a trailer for this movie like during a main movie when we were watching stuff.
No,
like at all. So because I grabbed the trailer already ahead of time just for like the editing process. And I was like, I'd never even seen this. Like
I never heard of it up until I saw it in the outline last time, and then I kept mistaking it for The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and I'm like, oh, we're going classic here.
Fucking Narnia? No, sir. What the fuck, dude? You're like from fucking 2009? Wow, what a random film.
Like, wow, this is wild.
So, I mean, just start with the first movies. Yeah, he's like, can we at least watch The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? Are we supposed to? He was sitting Bill on the side. Should we be reading before? Or what are we? How are we getting ready for this? And it was like, what?
What's going on? What about Mr. Toughness?
No, and it's a Universal film. Like, it has like a like a decent budget from what I saw, like especially just seeing shots and stuff like that. But let's just jump into then, Nabil. So you were just okay with it then. What did you think about that overall plot? Why was it just okay to you then?
I think it was a very thin plot, you know, for it's so if you've seen even we reviewed Bram Stoker's Dracula from Francis Ford Coppola that did in the 90s. And so they, in that film, they just do a little throwaway line about how he's going to travel from Romania to London and it's on a boat and something happened, but he's here. So they expand upon it, which is great. I think it's a very interesting premise to kind of expand on it. It's a great idea to make it as a horror film. Very, very well.
Have you seen the original Dracula, by the way, or one of the not original, the 1930s one, I guess, or whatever,
with Christopher Lee?
Not Christopher Lee. He's not 1930. No, not Nosferatu either. The original Dracula, Universal Pictures one, black and white.
I have not.
They show the Demeter crash in the beginning of that film too. By the way,
oh really?
It's just like you said though. It's like a scene, and then you're like, oh, no one was found alive aboard. So like, I mean, same kind of concept. So
it is a bit more expanded on the book though. By a bit more.
It's mostly just logs. I mean, it's in even the chapter title here. But so the reason I found that it was okay was that I don't feel like you got enough time with really understanding all these characters on the boat. You know, from a plot perspective, I actually did enjoy it. I thought it was a good horror film, and there was, like I said, it was creepy. So there's some good creep aspect. But I feel that there just wasn't, like, there's a lot of things that was brought over that Dracula had, the people buried inside the earth. We didn't really get to see a lot of like just him. He was just kind of lurking a little bit. I felt like we could have had more of him toying with the crew. So it kind of at a point started to become run in the mill where they started knocking him down a little bit. So I just felt that it just wasn't as good as it could have been. I felt they could have spent more time with it, and they could have spent more time with ramping up the jump scares in this film too. You know, for a film like this where it's set up, there could have been more. Like
I was okay with it not having jump scares. I don't know about you guys, but I was okay with that. A lot of times when movies have too many jump scares, I think they become too reliant on them for that to be the scare factor of everything. I'd rather it be creepy, which I think this movie definitely hits. I will jump to you real quick, Marco. I want to get to you on plot too. Mikey, I'm going to ask you about the horror aspect of it, but one thing I do want to say though, Nabil, I think the reason too why we don't get into as much with the Dracula stuff is that he is in a weakened state, and I think he's slowly. Like every time he's killing someone and feeding on them, he's like transforming, and we're seeing him change basically. But I could see why though. It is very formulaic of how it's like every night someone dies, every night someone dies. But
what did you think? Time, but
yeah. What did you think then overall, Marco, of the plots? That you did like it quite a bit more than Mr. Nabil here, obviously.
It worked for me. I think I agree with what you said, James, that Dracula was more in a weakened state, and they even have a throwaway line later in the movie where it says that he's been basically rationing his food and stuff because it's like a 2-week or more trip, basically.
I think it's almost like a month, isn't it?
About there. Yeah,
it's a long under a month, basically.
Yeah, it was a long ass trip, and the crew, there wasn't a lot of crew and stuff, and one was a little boy, so can't really feed off of a lot of blood off of that. So
and very strangely, but yes.
Jesus Christ.
Way to phrase that.
Yeah,
it's like a young lamb, not a lot of yeah, okay, whatever.
Little ones,
you can't really eat that one. So it worked, it's kind of like a one a night type of thing that he was doing, and even when he did go after some of them, like he was not necessarily like killing them. He was trying to do what he was doing to Anna, where he was kind of like snacking on them, like letting them get their blood refilled and then snacking them again.
Yeah,
I like the crew dynamics. Really, I think we got enough. I think because of the length of the movie, I think it's a perfect length. It's like right under 2 hours. Though, a little bit, like 15 minutes more probably could have helped expand the crew a little bit more. But I think we got enough just to kind of like, because we know their fate.
15 minutes. I think with 15 minutes more though, the pacing would be too slow, in my opinion. I think the pacing was just fine with what we got. I think any more, they were teeter-tottering with a bit more of that, because I agree with you. Like crew wise, it is fine. When we get to Clemens, I'll talk about it. I think his is the most kind of shoehoorned in with like what's going on. Like, there's some stuff, but I mean, I get where you're coming from though.
Yeah, because even the beginning is kind of slow. It does have sort of a slow start. So I think we got enough. And I read, last thing I'll say is about this is I read that the director was really heavily inspired by Alien, the first Alien by Ridley Scott, where the alien was just sort of like stalking them one by one. And it was sort of in a fragile state because it wasn't, at full power. It was a growing alien. And it was a low powered Dracula who was frail. So with that in mind, I think it helped me appreciate the movie a little bit more, or the plot a little bit more.
That explains why Wojcik has a flamethrower near the end too. So
set in 1800s, but I made it work.
Son of a bitch. Sorry, Mikey. I want to talk to you about horror aspects of the film. So we talk about creepiness, but did that translate to you as scary? Do you think it's scary? Like, what was scary to you? What could have been improved? What do you think?
So I like when they don't do jump scares because it's more creative to me.
Plus, I jumped too.
They used a lot of lighting in this movie because it's all at nighttime, right? Because Dracula doesn't come out during the day, so it's
in the rain too. By the way,
a lot of the rain and stuff too. So they use a lot of the lighting and a lot of the like atmosphere to kind of create like shadows and just like outlines of like how he looks. So you don't really get like a full picture of Dracula until later in the movie, and as people have already said here, he's kind of changing throughout. So you not only have these like picturesque kind of like lightning hits and you see like a shadow or an outline of a creature or a humanoid, whatever it is, but then the next time you see him, it's a little different outline. It's a little different picture that you got. So you kind of, you build that stuff in your head, you build like an image and you kind of have thoughts about like what you're expecting next. And you could be right or you could be wrong. And it's like building like over time. And I think I personally like that better than jump scares. I do like jump scares as well because it's like a really shock on you and it kind of builds you up to the next thing. But like this is a slow build and it worked with the pacing of the movie. So you guys talked about pacing and stuff. The movie was kind of slow, but there was enough stuff to kind of keep you going because of the low amount of like jump scares and such. They had to kind of keep it like atmospheric and like just that's the whole atmospheric and just like slow build of like the creepiness, and I think that works for me. And for horror, for me, that works okay for me.
What say you, Nabil, against that? Then was it not scary enough for you? Then did you want it like more horrific?
I think what it is that I knew that this was going to be a Dracula film. So I would have I wasn't expecting the man with the cane and the top hat to be walking around, but I wanted some of the charisma of Dracula because I'm thinking of the Francis Ford Coppola film,
much different. Yeah,
it's a different thing. Yeah. So I was thinking that maybe he'd lure some of these people in, try to coerce them for him to be able to feed on, or from the jump scare perspective, because we're going in with the monster on the ship, that there were scenes where they'd go below deck and they're looking for him, right? Or even like you guys said, the night scenes, if the rain, like there were quiet moments, and I would have liked for them to linger on it, like give me a chance to really be scared that he's there, because it was creepy, and I did have some, obviously there was some dread and some horror in there, but I just felt that we didn't get a chance, or the film didn't make me feel like we were sitting long enough with it to really be like terrified that this thing is about to attack them. And that's why I say like it was okay, because there's plenty of films like what's that film, 40 Days and 40 Nights, where there's something out there and you're waiting for something to come after you, but you're not sure what it is. Yeah. Kind of sense. And that's what I'm expecting from here. But I feel like we could have gotten just a little bit more time to sit with that fear of the unknown, and then having it then all of a sudden just strike. I didn't feel it as impactful. And that's why I was like, maybe they should have leaned a little bit more with those jump scares because of that. Because I wanted it to really like, I feel like it really should have made me jump out of my seat every time he'd pop up.
I hear you there. That's just a different take on it, I guess, but that's what they went with. They went with more kind of animalistic kind of view of Dracula, and I personally like that a lot, actually, because we haven't seen a lot of this, and I think obviously it's very heavily influenced by like the look of Nosferatu and stuff like that, I think, as well.
Yeah,
just the way that he looks. Period. Let's get into the characters. And Marco Clemens, played by Corey Hawkins, who, for me personally, I just remember him from Kong Skull Island and playing Dr. Dre in, the NWA movie.
Yeah.
But I like him personally, but what did you think of him as a character? And I wanted to ask you personally, like just with his background of like, because of his skin color, he brings it up. Did you feel like that, for me, that was a little shoehorned in near the end? Just because of like, hey, I had to prove myself. And I think that's where I kind of agree with Nabil on like, hey, that maybe, and maybe you too, like, I feel like that maybe could have been expanded a bit more. But what did you think overall about Clemens?
I liked him as a character. I thought that he, helped keep the audience. He's sort of like the eyes and ears of the audience. Like he has no experience with this crew. It's his first time on this type of voyage, and he's just as lost as the audience too. As far as like what this trip's going to entail.
Yeah.
So with that, like he like I empathize with him a lot. I do think that the social commentary on his on his race wasn't handled as good. They do sprinkle little things here and there, like people are looking at him different and treating him different, and there is one racial slur that's said to him as well too, but it doesn't really, there's nothing that shows that he's been struggling with this his whole life, even though with the times it's a given that it would be, but if they were going that route for the sake of storytelling, then it should have been like sort of around him the whole time, and when I'm not trying to be insensitive here or anything, obviously, but when it comes to like a freaking vampire going after you, it's not going to care who you are. It's going to kill you. You know what I mean? So if they would have found another way to incorporate it in there, in a way, I kind of agree with you. It was shoehorned in there, but also they had to explain, well, he's a black man in the 19th century and he's a doctor. Like, what the fuck? So I understand why they had to mention it. But that aside, I felt like as a character, like he's very compassionate. He gets along with the captain's son a lot and forms sort of a bond with him. He's actually the only character he really kind of bonds with, aside from maybe the captain, who sort of respects him at times.
I would say him and Anna get along pretty well too.
That too, yeah, because she becomes his patient. Yeah. So, he's he's not
likable.
A super strong character, but he's likable. You want to root for this guy, and I felt like the movie did a good job with that.
Can I ask, Marco, because of what you're saying over here? So, do you think because this is how I felt about it, that Clemens not being in the film would have been fine. I would have been happy with Captain Elliot and his son, and do you think that Clemens being in the film help make a difference or drive something forward? Do you think he would have been fine without him?
I just comment for me, I think he's necessary. Like Marco said, he is like the audience eyes and ears. Like he's the new guy, because everyone else would just always be on board. Like it'd just be okay, just toss the chick over, right? Okay, cool.
It's also a cheat. Yeah, piggybacking onto that, it is also a cheat to kind of reduce some of the character bonding from the others, because you're kind of seeing these guys from the point of view of this guy. Like you feel bad that some of them are getting yeeted, but at the same time, it's like, I don't really know you. It's my first time here. So I felt it kind of helped with that.
Mikey, real quick, jumping into Captain Elliot and his grandson, Toby, played by Woody Norman. What did you think about Captain Elliot, who is, I don't know, but once again, Liam Cunningham, I think he's a great actor. Most people probably know him just from Game of Thrones. What about you, Mikey? What did you think about those characters?
Well, we kind of touched on the kid a little bit. He kind of bonds with Clemens a little bit, and he kind of is like
and
the only person
dog.
he kind of gets, right? And the dog and stuff. But it's also like the kid, it's kind of like he has like responsibilities on the boat. He wants to be a crewmate a little bit, right? Yeah. So he has like these animals, and then he kind of gets, the stuff happens.
And once again, actually, I have to bring this up. He is showing Clemens around and in a way explaining to the audience why certain things happen, like, hey, you knocked because of this, and I was like, because if not, once again we'd be like, why the fuck are they knocking?
What's he doing?
He's like, it travels. I'm like, okay, this is a way to show us, like, okay, this is our intro into this kind of stuff, right? So yeah.
And it also, that kind of scene here kind of plays to like Clemens as well, because he said he was on a boat already, so he already knew all this stuff. He's just allowing the kid.
Yeah, because his father, right?
Around, right?
His father had been a guy on a boat too. Yeah.
So it kind of, I mean, that kind of builds his, like, he's willing to like just go through stuff that he already knows just to like kind of build a relationship for someone that's willing to give him a chance. I think the kid is really the only one that gave him a chance, other than the first mate. I mean, he kind of chose him because he kind of had to, based on what happened at the very beginning here. But the only one that really gives him a chance is the kid and the captain. So he kind of does. You guys mentioned already. He kind of builds more of a relationship with them, and I think it's because they actually gave him a chance. The other crew doesn't really. I mean, they don't really care about him at all. And you guys,
I feel like they care for him to a point. It's almost like he's like the little brother on the ship, right? That's the vibe I got. Like they just kind of look out for him. Like it's fine.
They don't like the decisions he's making, I should say. Not necessarily him as a person, but he's, Anna comes in and the decision he wants to do with them. They're not with his side on that stuff.
Yeah, the Filipino cook is like, get him up the ship, please. So Jesus. As soon as I saw that guy too, and I was like, Marco's gonna have a cow watching this guy. Don't worry about Jesus now. I was like, oh shit, my uncle's the chef.
Oh shit! They don't respect Clemens' expertise either. They're like, you're a doctor, you're not useful. I'm like, a doctor not useful at sea, bro. Yeah.
He grabs his hands, Wojcik, and he's like,
exactly, which explains also why Dracula has sort of an advantage and is able to pick them off too, because every time Clemens tries analyze what's going on and try to come up with a plan, they're like, no, your opinion doesn't matter, blah blah blah. So I think that also helps with the plot.
Definitely. I want to jump into David Dastmalchian's character, First Mate Wojcik. I really like him, by the way. David Dastmalchian has been in some really random roles. He's not typecast yet, which is kind of cool. He's usually a weird, creepy guy though, but this one he's a normal guy. I was like, this is weird, right?
Polka Dot Man.
I mean, Polka Dot Man. He's in the Dark Knight movies. He was in he was in another horror film this year, right? Oh yeah, fucking Boogeyman. Remember that shit, Mikey? Fucking terrible movie.
Damn. And he's in Oppenheimer.
He is too. Yeah, shit. Him and his homies, right? Everybody. Chris Nolan likes that movie.
But I thought he was everybody's kind of weird in this movie, though. Like you said, he's a little bit creepy. Pretty much the whole crew is a little bit creepy, right?
I mean, they're all just mysterious. They're just bros hanging on the ship. It's cool. I get it.
It's a long time on there.
Yeah, it's fine. Things happen. Shirts come off, I liked him though. I don't know, Nabil. What did you think about Wojcik? Did you actually like this character? Is he somebody?
That's why I go back to saying
for me, by the way.
Clemens not being on there would have been fine. I would have been fine spending time with the captain, with the first mate, with Wojcik.
They would have tossed Anna off the boat though. Nabil would have been like, good.
She didn't. What did she had? She wasn't really doing anything.
Okay, then let's jump to Anna then. Between all four of you, just chime in when you want to on Anna. What did you guys think? Was Anna probably the character that we didn't really need? More than likely,
she was sick in the cabin the whole time. What was she doing until the very?
No, hold on, sir. Without spoiling it much, she handled a firearm pretty well
at the very end.
She didn't have one at the beginning.
Once again, she is actually the character that kind of tells the crew who Dracula is, because without it, we would know, but the crew wouldn't know. So I was like,
that would have been fine. That would have made for a better horror film for me.
Oh,
but
okay.
Also, doesn't she kind of she plays the role of I don't know, kind of like the twist, right? There's not really a twist in this movie, but she's the closest thing to being a twist, right?
You know what I almost thought of though, guys, real quick? If they didn't include that little excerpt in the beginning, you could probably show this movie to somebody, and if they didn't know that this was a Dracula movie, that could be a twist near that end. Oh wait, what the hell? Because you would just think it's a creature on a boat. Let's say you didn't know anything about the Demeter or anything, because really they don't really, outside of that little beginning part, they don't really tell you. That's why.
All right.
So I almost feel like they shouldn't have included that. But then once again, I mean, we already knew.
It was a universal thing, though. They're like, we need people to know this.
Oh yeah, they're like, we own the rights to the Dracula shit. We're gonna definitely fucking. They're like, no one saw Redfield. To come to this movie either. So. Yeah. Okay. Well, then let's get on to. I mean, what do you guys think though, Marco? What about you, Anna? Did Anna need to be in it? What did you think of Anna? Is she the weakest? Is she the weakest link?
Man, I get. You know what? I kind of give this one to Nabil. Technically, yeah, because even the twist that Mikey's talking about, it could even be an on-screen twist where he's like, oh snap! I know what you're talking about, Mikey. I don't want to give it away right now, but it's not really that big of a spoiler, but whatever. But you could technically take her out of the movie, but it is also really cool to see her fucking use that gun. So
it shows some empowerment, like she's fighting back because she's been getting fed on, which is gross, by the way, if you think about it.
Yeah, it's sort of a modern take from previous, Dracula movies where, the damsel in distress, she's never able to fight back against her tormentor. In this case, she was
until she freaking until he started doing the transfusion. I thought it was just one of his, like, again, going back to the Francis Ford Coppola film, that she was just one of the lures over there trying to.
Oh, really? You thought the whole time?
Well, that's what I was saying, though. Like, it's like that's what I was saying. It could have been a twist, right? Because you're not sure if she's actually on Dracula's side or the crew's side. Right, you're not sure the whole time,
but from her story, that's when I realized, like, okay, she's not on his side, obviously. Right, she's like,
I have to give the exposition dump for her life story.
No,
but it's almost like she told the story to make sure they were on her side.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
I don't know.
So she could have been using that to like lure them in some more, right? Potentially.
Yeah, that's true. I guess. Let's get into Dracula, guys. He's the main, point of this all. He's on the poster, looking very menacing in his man bat face. I just want to
Marco on a Sunday.
Yeah, I don't have my makeup on. Don't look at me yet. I haven't showered. Sorry. What overall? I love the design of the Dracula character in this one. I think that's a standout. I think that also just comes off of like the director before. There's a lot of very. Don't get me wrong, there's CG in this movie, but there are practical effects used and there's makeup used for this as well, and I think that makes a difference. In scary stories to tell in the dark, there's a lot of practical effects that were used, and I think that especially for that, I always think of that strange creature in the Red Hall that's fucking weird. I forgot the eats someone or some shit. Like that was like a real suit, like, and it just shows you like they put it seems like he puts a lot more time into making sure that they get certain scenes down correctly with the right look. Jumping to you, Mikey, what did you think of the practical effects with Dracula, or what did you think of Dracula's look overall? Not getting into the ending part, okay, but just on the ship overall. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I like the way what they do. I kind of mentioned it when I was going over some of the horror aspects. They outline them well. They use the lighting pretty well. And his progression throughout the movie, how they kind of change him and such.
Yeah, because they really do. He starts out. He looks like Golem, right? I mean, kind of, right? Did you guys get that vibe?
Yeah. A little bit. Yeah.
Smeagol looking motherfucker in the beginning.
Precious.
Yeah, he's like, don't look at me yet. I'm not have makeup. But yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was really well done. I mean, there's obviously, like you said, some CG, but the bulk of it is kind of grounded a little bit, and it looks pretty real. And I liked what they did.
Yeah, definitely.
Scenes.
Jumping into the speaking of looks, then Marco, what did you think about the cinematography in this movie?
I actually think it was really good, man. There's some shots where the Demeter's on out at sea, and you see like a sunset in the background. It's handled very well, man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Some really great shots. It even man, there's a scene where like something's happening. They're trying to bash through a door, and like the camera is looking like through like a broken hole through the door, and then you see the first reveal of Dracula, and I was like, wow, that's actually pretty good. It's creative, and it also adds horror to it. So the director does a lot with what he's got, and it shows. So what I want to get to next, just quickly from you each guys, let me know a scene that stood out to you, that favorite. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but just something that, without spoiling, unless it's at the end, we can talk about the end. Nabil, what was the scene that stood out for you?
The scene where he's kind of climbing up the rafters, or the sails at the top at night, and like I think that was just a very good visualization and helped ramp up the fear of like this thing doesn't play by your guys' rules, so he's gonna fuck you guys up. So
nice.
Like that.
What about you, Mikey? What's your favorite scene, or a scene that stood out to you?
When the smoke kind of came in.
Oh, that was creepy, right?
Oh, that was I kind of like that. And then stuff happens afterward. I don't want to get into it. That's kind of
we can talk about it after. No problem. What about you, Marco?
Damn, Mikey took mine. But there's a scene where the young boy, the captain's son, is hiding, and like you see in the background like Dracula show up, and it's sort of like what Mikey was saying, where the Dracula uses the background a lot. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like Alien, but on like a
what
on a ship.
Scene that reminded me of, Marco? Was Hereditary a little bit, because he's like blending into the background, and it's like if you don't know to look in the corner, like you won't actually see him.
Yep. It was a blend of that and Alien, where the alien, like all of a sudden the alien's like there and just like creeps on you, you know, tries to go for a hug. But it is just
I'm Alien. So
yeah, it's legit scary, and the kid actor sells it. You know, I'm harsh on kid actors, but he did a pretty good job during that scene. So that was quite a standout. I was legit creeped out. So
the scene for me that stood out was when there's two times it happens. One of the crewmates is tied to the mast of the ship, and when the sun hits him, he catches on fire. I thought that was actually really well done because it's like, really creepy. And that guy's, I gotta bring this up. The gore in this film, it's pretty gory. By the way, there are scenes where people's necks are getting ripped apart or heads bashed in, and you see the skulls caving in.
I want to say though, like, it is gory, but it's like, I don't want to say it's off screen, but a lot of it happens like. You're seeing the aftermath kind of thing.
True. No, that's true. But that was fine by me, though. That was fine by me.
I mean, we see people don't like seeing like the flesh ripped, right? They just like, you see the aftermath is different than actually seeing
true.
that. So
Mikey was like, I want to see more. I need some saw shit in this, okay? If Achilles' ankles aren't getting ripped apart in front of my face, I'm not watching it, okay? I'm like, big Hostel fan, huh? Okay. And then once again, there's a scene later where there's, I guess it's a spoiler, but somebody else dies as well, and they kind of come back to life, and they have to throw them off. And I was like, whoa, creepy. So that's one of them. Let's get into some ratings here before we get into our spoiler section, guys. I'll start with you, Nabil, since you were the one that didn't like it the least amount compared to all of us. What would you rate it, and would you still actually recommend it overall to horror fans, or who would you do it to?
Yeah, so I did like it, so I gave it a 3.5 stars.
Damn, blood! You made it sound like you were giving it 2.
No, I think it was. I think it was a solid horror film, and I do recommend it. I just feel
4 out of 5.
I feel like there could have been a lot more done for it, and they could have maybe done a little bit more to really lean in.
We'll talk about that though, Nabil. We'll talk about that in the spoiler section. Okay, Marco, what about you?
This movie deserves 3.5 stars. It's really good, worth a watch. Highly recommended to both horror and just regular film fans. Go watch this movie, please. Go see it.
Thought that'd be a little higher for you since you hyped it up a lot more, Marco. The same rating as Nabil, but fuck it. Okay, what about you, Mikey?
I give it 4 stars. I liked it a lot. We talked about it. I like this type of horror that kind of builds, so it just really worked for me. I would definitely recommend it if you like horror movies to check it out.
Yeah, no, I give it 4 stars as well. It's not perfect, but I think it's a great horror film, and I think it's a shame that it's absolutely tanking at the box office, which is not a shock.
Zero marketing budget apparently.
Yeah, so I can only imagine the 10 people that listen to this episode. Thank you for listening and having some interest in the Last Voyage Demeter. I love reviewing movies that are coming like 3rd or 4th place within the first week. So we're just keeping up the trend. Fuck it, let's just rock and roll, right?
There you go.
Let's jump into our spoiler section, though, guys. So if you have not seen the movie, which is a majority of America at this point, just come back. When you see this on Netflix or VOD or, Universal, right? So it'll be on Peacock probably, I think. So come on back 6 months from now. Or maybe, no, let's face it, 40 days from now. It'll be out by October probably. So we hope Halloween was cool. That's all I'm going to say. So we hope Halloween 23 was cool. But let's jump into the spoiler section. So, guys, ending here, I'm going to talk about it. We all kind of knew where this was going, right? Because they Tarantino'd it in the beginning. They're like, "Oh, the ship already crashed," but we get a shot back to like, "But what happened? But what happened? How did we get to this moment?" Right? It was almost like record scratch. You might be wondering how I fought the Dracula and ended in the water. Well, here's what happened. So,
but I mean, if you've seen Dracula, same thing.
Yeah, So dude, was there anyone in this movie that like, I wonder if they're gonna get this some bitch, right?
Right?
Maybe it's an alternate timeline. Yeah, Whoa, Dracula, welcome to your new home. Strangely enough, Clemens survives. Actually, I didn't see that happening. To tell you the truth, I thought everyone was gonna get massacred.
So I read that's actually. I read that that's actually what happens in the book too.
Really?
That there is in the log, there is like one sole survivor who took his chances and jumped off the ship. So they based it off of that. No, because I thought no one was going to survive, and I was like, oh,
I almost thought everyone was going to be chef. To tell you the truth,
yeah.
So did I.
Then he's like, "Oh no, it flies," and then he got killed.
I love that scene.
Oh shit! For God's sake, please let me go, Dracula. Please let me live. What about Anna dying? Did you guys find it weird? I found it a little strange that she survived that long. By the way, like the blood transfusion.
Blood transfusions, right?
Yeah.
Supposedly.
I didn't think that was gonna work, but apparently it did.
Neither did I.
Wasn't she in the sunlight before? Like I thought there was a scene before.
She was,
that
but it was
wasn't
wearing
in the
away.
sunlight.
I think was the fact. Like that's why he tells her, like, "Oh, we can do a transfusion in the middle of the ocean." I was like, "Yeah, right, Sherlock." I'm like, "Yeah, that ain't gonna happen."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'll both die.
Yeah. So, and then she just catches on fire. But
yeah, basically that's the kind of twist, is the fact that you don't come back at all. You can only delay it, but eventually you become damned just like him. So
nobody really becomes a vampire, though. You know what I mean?
No, they just sort of like.
Well, if they come back from the dead, like the two people that did, wouldn't they technically be vampires?
They're like mindless, like people, though. They're like zombies, practically. You know what I mean?
Until they feed, though, right? If they actually fed, they would turn into a vampire.
If they had fed, would they have turned into a vampire, though? I don't think they made it.
That's how I thought it works. I don't know.
Who knows? I felt like they were just like under the mind spell of Dracula, and they were just trying to kill everybody else on board. From the sound of it,
maybe
that's the vibe I was getting. That's why they were just reaching out and doing, like, they were pretty dumb. Like they were,
I think I'm remembering like the movie Bram Stoker Dracula. Like you gotta give him permission to turn you into a vampire. I think that's what he does that's what he does with Winona Ryder.
So. Well, she was just horny for him too the whole time.
Yeah, but so I think if that's not the option, then you're just nothing but a food bag to him.
So Clemens, though, at the end, guys, I got to bring this up. Survives. He's sitting in a bar. This is when we kind of see the version maybe that you were looking for more a little bit, Nabil. Yeah. Dracula's sitting in this bar and he's wearing a top hat and a cane. Like he was looking creepy as fuck, by the way, I gotta say.
Yeah.
And basically Clemens is kind of, it's not gonna happen. Let's face it, they're not gonna make a sequel to this movie, but they're hinting that like he's gonna pursue him or some shit and find him. Like, what did you think about that, Nabil? Was that the look you were looking for with that Dracula? Like looking.
I mean, if they were going to lean to it, let me say, I think that maybe he was Van Helsing all of a sudden? I was like, what if he's supposed to be Van Helsing?
That's what I thought.
That's where I thought they were going
Van
with
Helsing's
it.
an established monster hunter already in this timeline.
Right. So, I don't know what they were really thinking of going with this, since it's supposed to be based off of, the book, and like, are they just trying to just build a film franchise again and screw us all over?
Knows?
But, I think that it was not needed. Again, he could have just died. We would have been fine.
So then you plugged in the Hugh Jackman Van Helsing movie afterwards and tried to make it a sequel yourself. You're like, I got to continue right here. Don't worry.
I've been hunting him all my life.
Yeah. You're like, this is how it happens. So what about you, Mikey? What did you think? Would you wanted to see anything after this sequel? Was that weird for you that they ended that way?
I mean, I haven't seen. I know you guys just did a review on it, so I listened to you guys' review, but I haven't seen the other Draculas in a very long time. So
Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Yeah, I haven't seen that in like forever. I didn't watch it when you guys watched it, like I normally do.
But
I actually, if they were gonna make this,
we'll watch it right now, dude. We'll wait.
Mikey, pack your shit up, dude. You're done.
But I actually, if they were gonna do their own timeline, I could see this working as a sequel. If they're going to try to fit it in and that kind of stuff, then I don't think it would work. But I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel to this one on its own timeline where they can kind of change some stuff. I could see it working out. I wouldn't mind watching it.
It's not going to happen, though. I'm guaranteed.
Oh, yes.
It made $6.5 million. By the way, were you guys theaters full or no?
No.
I had a good crowd.
Me and Mike had a decent amount,
but
it wasn't full.
Busier than most of the other movies we've seen.
We actually, we talked about it. It was weird because we were looking around like there's a lot more people in here than I thought there would be.
Yeah,
it was
I'd say it was about half full. Yeah, same thing for us, half full.
But apparently
mine was like a quarter full around there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Before we leave, then, guys, any other things you want to bring up in the spoiler section before we end the review here?
No, just that it was pretty ballsy that they killed a kid in this fucking movie. I know a lot of horror movies shy away from that.
Toby,
same. Me too, dude. That's when you know the stakes are real, dude. When they're willing to kill a fucking kid.
They're really like, they build that scene up so much. Like, is he gonna get him? Are they gonna get through the door? I'm like, no, he fucking bit him. He's got him. Like, I was like, nope.
And it's like, nope, he's dead. He
Yeah,
kill
well,
him
yeah.
and then,
About the captain,
they kill the
too,
they
in
kill
that
the dog in the
scene, but
movie.
you can't, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
sorry,
not
what was
We talked
that?
about him before, right? So I was really talking about the captain in that scene, like because it's like pretty emotional for him. Like he's like trying to let go of the kid, but he knows he's not the kid anymore, kind of thing. And then you get the fire happens, and like the
he goes
captain's, like,
a
hugging
little
himself
crazy
and
with
shit,
that
so it's
too.
like
Yeah.
Yep.
so it's like I couldn't really say all that stuff beforehand, but yeah, that's all. I mean, he did
It's
a
a
really
great
good job.
like
Like, kind of,
segment. Yeah.
I like the scene
I
where
was
the
gonna
captain
say-
is actually like about to like shoot them or maybe kill himself, and they're like, "We need you."
Yeah.
And then he just talks about something from Game of Thrones again. I was like, "What the hell? What about the White Walkers? What the hell?" He's
The
mixing
White
movies
Woman.
again.
The Red Woman. Sorry.
What were you saying, Marco?
Yeah, but no. Just what Mikey was saying, that it's the whole like burning scene was just like, holy shit! Like, not only did they kill him, they burned him. So that was pretty intense. But no, I've seen a sequel to this movie. It's called Bram Stoker's Dracula. So I don't think it needed one. This is like the ODST
halfway to the film
of
just
Stoker's
slot this
Dracula.
movie in,
Dude,
and then
what I
you
mean?
gotta go on.
yeah, Nabil, we can do a fan edit and you can insert this part. Like, this is the ultimate director's cut.
Basically, you technically could.
And then Renfield's the final part of it. It's when he got goofy.
I actually like Renfield. I thought it was decent.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's
I haven't
another
seen it.
Universal movie where it's not bad though. I liked it too.
People watch it for Nick Cage.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's on streaming on Peacock. So,
Oh shit!
all right, guys, let's move on to our last section here. Before we get to our outro, Nabil is going to reveal our next segment, really, where we kind of hinted at last week, and also talk about what movie he's going to have all of us watch.
It's the topic of the week.
Well, since we've been on the topic of watching a horror film here, I figured what would be a great segue into Halloween, which I know sounds like it's not that close, but it's only about a month and a half away, October at least. So
spooky season, nice.
I know, a little spooky time. So I thought it would be good for us to put in start a topic about films that scared the crap out of us as kids. Now, that doesn't mean it needs to be a horror film. It just needs to be something that truly frightened you as a kid, and you're like, I don't want to watch that, or I got scared. James already knows that means I'm doing something that may not be in the normal fold.
Fucking Gandhi? I'm gonna be like, I mean, no, you're gonna have to run these by me next time. Okay.
So with that, I like James said, I'll be going up first with the film. This movie was the first film that I saw in theaters at that same time. I also ran out of the film because I was way too young, scared and crying. I think I was about 9 when I saw this film. Short circuit. I was about 9 when I saw this film, or so it's been or maybe 8, and so it's just some very gruesome scenes. The film we're gonna watch is Starship Troopers.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. And if you guys have, I don't know how long it's been since you've seen the film. It is a sci-fi kind of horror film, but there's the scenes where they're fighting the bugs in this movie are just it's so graphic, it's so violent and so brutal. And seeing it as a child in the theaters, it's not the atmosphere you want to see it for the first time as a young kid.
I'm excited. I actually like this movie a lot, Nabil. So good choice.
Okay. That's great. Our next week, by the way, will be Marco making announcements. So Marco have a movie by then as well. We will be reviewing Starship Troopers first then, and then jumping into our main review as well. That's the end of the podcast. We want to thank everybody for listening here. Marco, let them know how they can reach us.
Listen and follow us on your favorite podcast service. Trust us, we're on all of them. For a quick link to all our socials, visit linktree/moviepalspod. That's linktr.ee/moviepalspod. Thank you, and make sure to smash that subscribe button so you never miss an episode or a voyage.
And of course, make sure to also stay tuned for our next episode number 157, where of course we will be reviewing Starship Troopers and a full review of the new movie, Gran Turismo.
Thank you, Nabil. Until next time, this is James.
And Marco Main.
Nabil.
And Mikey.
Have a great one.